Hey guys, welcome back to Final Sector. This is the F1 News Roundup. I'm Michael, as always, joined by Kyle. We're going to cover the rest of the news that's been happening pre-season, not including livery talk. We've got a dedicated video for that. I thought the last video we did had a lot of news. This has even more. That's an even bigger list of stuff to talk about. So we're gonna.
Everyone within F1 was like, "Oh, they're starting to report on other news. Let out the floodgates. They're going.
Yeah.
They've returned from their holiday."
And also check out, which hopefully should be releasing pretty soon, is the season prediction video, which should be coming out. I don't know how far you've edited that one, but
It should be before this video, I reckon.
Yeah, should be. So
it's like 80% done. So.
And yeah, if you're watching and you like hearing us compile all the relevant F1 news, then feel free to give us a like or a comment. It really does help get us into that sweet YouTube algorithm. If you're new, feel free to subscribe and check out our other stuff. We've got a lot coming up for this season. So, yeah.
Oh, yep.
All right, let's get straight into it with the Quickies or the Rapid Fire or the, I don't know, I'm going to give this names.
The quicker than Quickies.
Yeah. McLaren have already planned a car upgrade for their first race at Bahrain. And I imagine other teams probably are as well. McLaren are just outspoken about it. But, they released their car and they're like, yeah, we've already got an upgrade on the way for Bahrain, which is kind of insane. I guess with the new cars, they're going to just develop, every single race. They're just like, you're just going to look and like, okay, we've got this coming, we've got this coming, this coming. It's just going to be like perpetually for I reckon for the first probably few races, they're just going to be like, we need to roll these out as soon as possible.
And bring whole kits even just to test, going low downforce track, here's a kit. High downforce track, here's another kit, and then
that's it,
slow down a bit once they've tested everything they want to.
Speaking of McLaren, Lando Norris has signed with McLaren until 2025, despite already having a contract until the end of 2023, even before the season started, even before seeing where the McLaren is and what the pecking order is. Norris has been like, I'm staying with them. I believe in the team.
Just a reminder, we weren't just fibbing. This wasn't corporate PR. We're serious.
Absolutely. The idea, but I believe it will work, was, push them forward and give them that confidence that, actually, we can do this. We're on the right path. There's this mutual trust that they'll be able to push back towards the front. So they're unsure if it's a fixed contract or one that has options. Like, how, I think we talked about semi recently, how Max Verstappen's contract has a performance clause. How if they drop off in performance, he has an out effectively.
Yeah.
The terms of the contract haven't obviously been they haven't been discussed too much, which, being a contract, I guess it makes sense.
Yes.
But yeah, so I would say there's probably at least some kind of performance clause or something.
Get out of jail clause if everything goes to crap. So Norris doesn't get stuffed.
Yeah, in saying that, Norris has come out and says, while there might be something like that in the contract, he seems pretty confident he'll see out the contract regardless.
More of a formality, maybe. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. The F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has announced an extension to the engineering scholarship that F1 launched last year, thanks to a donation from $1 million donation from Chase Carey, which that's how the whole scholarship got started. Basically, how it works is it allows 10 students from leading universities in underrepresented groups to get full scholarships and full housing, and they also get placement in F1 teams. Yeah, and they're expanding that as of next year to continue through to 2025, so there'll be another 10 students every single year. They're going to be funding for the unrepresented group. Fair play to Chase Carey for the big donation to even get that. I don't care what anyone says.
Going,
Chase Carey did a hell of a lot for Formula One in the short time he was here. So
and he probably inspired a lot of the other movements like we've recently had. Was it women in karting and everything like that, right? The better showing of W Series, all these. It's good to see these programs are still well going. You did hope to see them keep popping up, right? The drivers getting involved too. It's great to see. Yeah.
Mercedes and Alpine have both announced their driver academy lineups for 2022 as well. With Mercedes, they've added I'm going to butcher this. They've added Luna Fluxa, and that's the first female in the Mercedes Academy. I think Ferrari added their first female Academy driver last year, which we talked about. And then now Mercedes have one who is I think a karting junior. She's quite young, quite fresh in the scene, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool that I think Mercedes are pretty well known for wanting to build up from a pretty young age, and they
often go over karters or really early F4 kind of level.
Mercedes have also retained Frederick Vesti as well, who moves to F2.
Go Fred!
Yeah, moves to F2 with ART. So I think he's the only Mercedes junior that's in sort of like F2, F3 space. So unlike Red Bull and Alpine, who have 700 drivers in F2 and F3, Mercedes
entirety
have
of the
one.
rest of the grid.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see if Vesti, as of next year, starts to get more involved in the actual Mercedes team behind the scenes. I think I would be very, very surprised if that doesn't happen. You'd have to have a pretty bad year in F2. But I would say that's a name you're going to hear a little bit more often going forward. Alpine have added Jack Doohan, who has just come off the Red Bull Academy, which is pretty telling. As far as I could tell...
Interesting pick.
Yeah, well, as far as I could tell, he wasn't ditched by Red Bull. He left the Red Bull Academy to go to Alpine. So I guess Red Bull have like how many? They've 4 or 5 in F2, and then they've got Pierre and Yuki and Max and I guess Perez. He's not really part of the Red Bull program, but he's there.
Albon,
Albon's still there,
and other F3 drivers.
He probably just thought, there's very little chance that if I stay here, I'm going to get any sort of shot. The one omission from the Alpine program was Christian Lundgaard, who has, quote, graduated from the program.
Yes.
That's how they worded it. I'm not so sure, but he's got a multi-year deal in Indy, so I would say that that's his F1 dream dead, but he's in Indy, so fair play to him.
That's a bloody good dream still to go for.
Pretty good.
I wouldn't be so sad about that.
Yeah. So.
He doesn't want it, I'll take it. Yeah. You got his number, right?
Yeah. So Aston Martin have, I think this was either prior to or during their car launch, their Chief Technical Officer Andrew Green has said they're open to developing their own power units from 2026, a la Red Bull, I suppose.
Well, that's a pretty bold call, isn't it?
Really,
considering.
Really bold, yeah. I mean, obviously Aston Martin have been making some really, really big plays. They've got the title sponsor of Aramco now, who believes that that could help them to push for the power unit. They're going to see.
They're a big name right now. Yeah.
At the moment, I think that they're looking into it. It's more just a comment saying, it's something that we're going to consider if it's even worth it. But yeah, imagine having another works team in Aston Martin. It kind of came out of nowhere as well. Like I would have never expected that to happen, but I guess
not for them to publicly say it. But I guess it makes sense because they've been. If they are, you hear every team going on, oh, we've got this 5-year plan to get to the top, right? But what for them to say we've got a 5-year plan. By the way, that includes potentially doing our own engine. You go, well, that seems a bit serious. Then we'll keep a bit of an eye on this then.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they actually find value in it, and if they do, whether or not... I mean, I guess they have the money for it at this point, don't they?
Yeah, or if they go on their oon brand, or they partner with someone else, or the possibilities start blowing up a bit there. How many times have we heard Red Bull partner with a different manufacturer, Remember when Red Bull were allegedly going to have Aston Martin engines a few years ago, Oh,
yeah. They had Aston Martin branding, and then it just that fell through. But then
there was a rumour they were going to get engines from them, so that wasn't that long ago.
It's true, yeah. Christian Horner has bid £4,000 during a charity event to secure a tour of the Mercedes F1 factory. This one popped up. He also misspelled his name, by the way, as Christian Horner, but that's okay.
I forgot about that.
But yeah, I think he had an interview and he said he wanted to take about 20 people with him for the tour, including people like Adrian Newey. And
I didn't know that.
I thought that was really funny. But I mean, unfortunately, due to the terms and conditions, no one from like rival F1 teams are allowed to take the tour. So I don't know, maybe he just like quits from Red Bull for a couple of weeks, just retires from the role and then takes
What's the cool down period?
Yeah.
Is it the year and a half?
Yeah, was that in the terms and conditions? Yeah. Can we get the fine print out? We were just talking about this earlier and you're like, I hope that someone gets that tour rather than just abandoning it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was all for charity, so
it's true.
Yeah,
so charity still gets their money. That's the main thing.
Very true. Yeah. All right, and rounding off the quickies, we've got 2 circuit extensions. We've got the big one in Bahrain gets a track extension until 2036, which makes it the longest contract in Formula One history. Longest contract extension.
Woo.
I tried to do the math, and I'm like, I'm going to be...
No, don't say it. I don't want to have this conversation. No.
I'm going to be 43 by the time that extension runs out. Honestly, of all the Middle East countries to get an extension, Bahrain seems to always produce good racing, so I'm kind of glad that it's the one that gets the big extension.
Agree.
The one that happened more recently is that the Circuit of the Americas is going to stay until at least 2026, so that's another 5 years. And again, I think I really like Circuit of the Americas as well. I was kind of worried with them bringing in Miami and then the rumors of them bringing in Vegas that they might have ditched Circuit of the Americas,
or rotate schedule,
or rotated,
but
no, they're committed to keeping that one every year for the next 5 years. So I'm happy to see that one staying. So.
And see, then I love that idea. They have Circuit of the Americas as their standard American race, and then their second
rotate the other one.
American races rotate. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. I'd be more than happy with that for sure. So, all right. Well, that's it for the quickies. Let's move on to the fun stuff.
I'm having a great time, so this is going to be good then.
yeah. Let's break that down a bit. The FIA F1 Commission meeting that happened on the 14th of February. We finally have all the information from that. Although initially, they did announce some things, and they didn't announce the thing anyone cared about initially.
Yes.
What did they say? Hold on. They just said they led discussions, and they will publicly present news in the coming days, and everyone was like, what the fuck, bro?
It was the announcement of the announcement.
Exactly, which
I
feel
the
like...
Blizzard way of doing things. They had confirmation that the meeting took place, and that was it.
Yep.
We had the meeting, we'll let you know. Thanks, it's great.
Well, on the 14th of February, they did announce two big things. So we'll talk about those ones first before we move on to the really big thing. But they did announce that the number, which we kind of predicted last video as well, is that the number of sprint races will be dropped from the planned 6 to 3. So instead of the 6 that they were going to go ahead with, they are just going to have the 3, same as last year, except they're going to be held at Imola, Austria, and Brazil. They obviously like the Brazil one. I guess it kind of makes sense given the fact that you can overtake there, as Hamilton showed us last year. So, but yeah, we're going to see it at Imola and Austria as well, which...
Imola I thought was a funky choice. Austria, I'm like, okay, that's a big one. But Imola, but I'm like, cool. Perfect.
The cost cap remained unchanged as well. Like, I know they were talking about how they needed... Some of the big teams we need extra money. And, they... just kept it exactly the same as it was.
The others were like, shut up! Sit down!
More points will be awarded now as the top 8 get points, not just the top 3. The winner gets 8 points down to 8th getting 1 point. So it's just like a 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there's a little bit more riding on actually doing well outside of the sort of top 3 or 4.
Did it used to just be 3, 2, 1 for first, second, third?
It did, yes. That's all it was. Yeah. So it was
not only is it if you're in the middle-ish field, you can actually fight for some points, but then the top guys actually get quite a bit more. If they fall back, they lose quite a bit.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's still, while it's not called sprint qualifying anymore, they've just called it sprint. It is still a sprint qualifying session in the fact that it will set the grid for the Sunday race, which I just don't.
That's the bit of contention, but look,
like it.
But I'll still take the slight tweak and let's just run it again. 3, fine. Big calendar. They're fine. Okay.
Pole position is now awarded as the fastest person on the Friday qualifying, but only for statistical purposes. So whoever gets qualifying pole. On the Friday qualifying, whoever obviously gets the fastest time will be given pole position, despite the fact that they could crash in the sprint, and then start from the pit lane on Sunday, but they're pole position, and it's like,
I get it. I guess because if you want to say, this guy had 100 poles, you don't want to say he had 100 poles, but 2 of them were in sprint races where he didn't actually get on top of quali or something. I guess it's easier to say he had 100 poles that were actually done in, hot laps in qualifying.
It just,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. It just feels
it
like
does
unnecessary
seem a bit, because it almost
confusion.
just like you're actually, faking something, but it almost seems like it's something in a video game. You know what I mean? In real life. But I get, it's supposed to, you say someone, as you said, was the third best qualifier, you don't think about, oh, that'll be the qualifyings and the sprint races. But then I guess you could say if someone is disqualified from qualifying, do they normally lose or does it still count?
That's what I was thinking. Well,
someone could...
Or what if someone if someone gets the P1 in quali, but then also takes an engine penalty, are they still technically pole position? Or
I think they do, but then as I say, I wouldn't bet on it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah, but
this
is again, if they just separated this sprint thing from qualifying entirely and just didn't have it
ran it as some
then this wouldn't be a fucking issue. So angry. I hate it.
It seems like they went, the fans are saying this, let's kind of do this change to help, relieve some of the pressure. And then it's like, but this isn't a... Did you think this through?
Yeah.
It's not going to make the vocal majority go, fine, as long as the record book is safe. As long as we know Hamilton had exactly... But then we'll go back and change the ones from last year. No, last year's ones stayed.
No, they were fine.
So there'll always be those three.
Yep.
The legendary three.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm done with this.
Let's
so
move on.
stupid.
Yeah,
I was fine with it, and now I'm not fine with it.
I'm sorry.
I'm angry now.
I'm really sorry.
It's not your fault, it's me. I actually thought about it for a second and went, no, this isn't right.
It's not great, is it? The other thing that they announced on the 14th, outside of sprint races, is that the weather-affected races points allocation has been changed after, obviously, Spa. They went 2 or 3 laps around.
That was the primary cause, yes.
Yes, where they got half points for literally following a safety car around for 2 laps, which pissed off a lot of people.
And everyone said, there's no way they're going to race. And they went, let's try it out, guys. Looks okay.
Yeah, that looks fine.
We got the new brooms out. They stripped up a bit of water.
But yeah, so now they have changed it that no points will be awarded unless 2 laps are completed by the leader without safety car or virtual safety car intervention, which is good. You have to get at least 2 racing laps. But they've gone
under green.
Yes, under green conditions. And they've actually gone further than that in that from 2 laps to 25% race distance, the top 5 will be awarded points on a 6-4-3-2-1 scale. From 25 to 50% race distance, the top 9 are awarded points. I thought was a weird number, but from 13, 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 50 to 75%, the top 10 are awarded points. 19, 14, 12, 9, 8, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. The top 9 for 25 to 50% was a weird. I saw that and I had to double check it. I'm just like, they didn't mean
maybe
8.
There's some math around it. I don't know.
Yeah, but at least I kind of like the fact that they went further than just the first part of that rule. I think that's it makes a lot of sense given that the second you even go less than half distance race, a lot of the strategy comes out of it, and it's just them driving around. I'm very, very happy with the changes. I think it's something that will hopefully stop the Spa BS happening again. So
at least we had some fun contenders that got points that weekend.
Yes. We had a Williams on the fucking podium. So,
exactly. At least that helped everyone go, this is dumb, but hey, at least someone gets to take advantage of it, and that's kind of fun.
Those were the 2 big things. I think 3 days later is when they announced the big boy, in that they took Michael Masi out back and they put him down, put him into the ground. He's gone. So Michael Masi's... I was
wondering how you would introduce this topic.
He has been replaced as race director by a rotating duo in Eduardo Freitas and Niels Wittich, who have both done, I think, is WEC, World Endurance Championship, and DTM for long periods of time as race directors.
And I believe, I don't remember who it was, but I remember saying that one of them as well used to do even British touring cars in its heyday. So they've both, that's their most recent ventures, but they've both been doing it for various categories for years and years. Yeah, right? They're well respected.
Freitas has been part of World Endurance Championship since 2012, and apparently he's held in a considerably high regard from everyone. So, and
that's a hard series to be in that position.
all the different categories going on. As well, and and then Wittich has been the race director for DTM most recently, but he's done F3 Euro, he's done ADAC, he's done Formula E, he's done he's been everywhere. So I think them coming in and having it on a rotation policy, I think, is a really good thing. Kind of takes
brilliant.
Very, very. They've obviously thought about this very, very hard. I think getting rid of Masi was more of a it's more of a public statement kind of thing, maybe not political, but this
is the big bit. Yeah, you say, is it a public statement, but then still at no point are they saying, oh, he did something wrong, right?
Exactly,
this is almost just saying he's losing the job, but not because of that. But they're not saying that. They're almost just saying, by the way, he's being replaced. We go, why? And he goes, and they just go, we just found a different position for him in the FIA. We've got two new guys in. You found a new... Okay, what's that position?
He's sweeping the floors.
We'll figure it out with him.
He's getting the coffees.
It's like, what? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's a weird... Yeah, like I said, because they still haven't admitted fault or anything.
No.
So I think the only reason they got rid of him is... I think they kind of had to. If they didn't get rid of him, the amount
they would
of
have had to really have come out with something to not get rid of him. If they said, look, here's exactly what happened to XYZ. This is why we don't blame pure blame, blah, blah, blah. But, of course, they're not going down that route, right? And
they also have... formerly Charlie Whiting's like long-term deputy, Herbie Blash, as a permanent senior advisor as well. So, he's actually come in and done the job with Charlie Whiting for a long period of time as well. So he's coming in and assisting whoever's on the duties that weekend as well, which I think is very, very cool. So
it's cool. I just want to mention, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go,
I think this one, again, I was hearing a lot of this insight that I have comes from Ed Straw from the race, who brought it up recently.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I didn't realize that Herbie Blash is actually quite old now. I think he's in his mid-70s or something.
Yeah,
and he actually chose to retire, I don't know when, but in the past from the FIA, from his duties, because the travelling and everything, and he was kind of, happy with how he'd done in his career. But for him to come back, it's interesting. You don't know whether they almost reached out and they said, look, we kind of know what's going on here. We could really use your help. And he's gone, okay, I'll help you out. I don't fully know if he's doing it like virtually or if he's still travelling around. So I think there's it's interesting. I think when you just look at it in a vacuum, you go, oh, this guy's got lots of experience, used to work with Charlie. Can my camera focus up? There we go. Guy that used to work with Charlie has a lot of experience, makes sense to call him back. But then you go, but this guy's in his mid-70s. He's not going to be one of flying around 25 races a year. So I'm curious what capacity it'll be. But obviously, these 3 appointments is the case of them going, even if they're not admitting to a screw-up, saying, we want to make sure going forward we've got some bloody good minds on this. And then if anything does crop up, we've got 3 great heads that are going to figure it out together with us. So it's a good sign, really good sign, I think, as we were hoping for in our discussions towards the end of last year.
The fact that you say it could be virtual, it's very possible given the fact that they are looking at adding a new virtual race control room as well. So he could be sort of positioned there. It's drawing the control room's drawing a lot of comparisons to VAR in football or soccer.
Which is such a weird thing to say to me. I get that comparison, but then when you think about it, you go, but hold on, isn't that what stewards do anyway? They get all the footage when they look at it. That's what VAR does. Like, I get having elevated maybe access than normal. That's the point of VAR. But in an F1 sense, I haven't actually seen anyone explain what that means.
There hasn't
been. Have you heard anything?
I haven't seen enough information on it.
You might have the stewards and maybe like a dedicated analysis team that maybe find picks and looks for the stewards. That's the only thing I can think of, right?
Yeah.
Like a more advanced kind of analysis center rather than having the stewards sitting in a room looking at pictures on a. That's what I can think of.
Yeah. Well, apparently it's.
I guess I just dislike that the similarity to VAR. This isn't similar at all. What the hell?
I don't know. Well, apparently they're supposed to have. It's supposed to be some kind of facility that's like.
Yes.
In England, or whatever, the UK or somewhere. I imagine, maybe they have their initial thoughts and then they can send it off to this control room. The control room can look over it and they can be like, okay, you've said this, but our recommendation is this based on whatever historical evidence.
Yes.
They can have maybe a lot more information and some more people,
and then maybe they're more drawn back from the live action what's going on, so they get things more in like an unbiased view of
potentially they can just look at the incidents in
a vacuum,
rather than like, okay, they're watching the entire race and okay, they're given just this incident. It's like, okay, look at this incident by itself without context, just look at this and deal with it. Like, potentially that could be what they're trying to do. I guess that's kind of how the Masi thing at Abu Dhabi went, is like, he had the whole context of, this, it's the championship and we need to finish under race conditions and blah 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 and all this. He had all the context, but if he didn't have the context, then he probably would not have played out the same way as it did. So I would say that there's a decent chance the that control room, that the race control room will have something like that in some capacity, but they haven't given us given us.
If they don't have that, I'm curious what it actually will be as well.
Yeah, if it's just like they're just glorifying it.
Yeah, they've hired one extra intern to look over the footage.
Yeah. The team bosses no longer able to interfere. They can't talk directly to the race director like they did during the whole season, but particularly during that last race. Them trying to influence the decisions the way they did, they can't do that anymore. And also the communications with the race director will not be broadcast on the during the race either. So we won't hear them anymore. But you know what? If it means they make better decisions, that's fine by me. So
yep.
So
it's worth saying they have been able to talk to them for a while now. It's not just like we were suddenly hearing them because that was the thing. They've been able to talk to them as well for a long time, but now more so they're going, okay, they can't actually talk directly to the race director, and B, we won't actually get any of that general chit chat, which you could say is a bit of a shame because I mean, a lot of the memes that came out were really good, but it does, sometimes there's a reason why they used to show. There was a little story. I'll be quick. That they used to show the pre-race briefings. The pre-race briefings were always recorded behind doors, and they started showing it on YouTube. And there were some anecdotes from the drivers where they used to say they're actually quite quiet and kind of official, but then as soon as they knew they were being filmed, some of them started bringing in jokes and wisecracks and and they kind of thought, well, that's great for the people, but this is supposed to be like the big safety meeting between the drivers and the race directors, so we kind of let's not actually, we don't want everyone coming in here with funny hats and trying to make a laugh because it's not the point of this meeting. Exactly. So or that legendary Checo face when they call him out for cutting Singapore turn 1, if you remember.
I think going into turn 2, he was ahead of me and he stayed.
Okay. Well, like I say, we tend to rely on your teams telling us that something's...
So it's a similar change there. I think they're saying, look, it is nice to have in the public eye, and cool they experimented with it again, but it's better when it's privatized behind doors and they know not everyone's going to hear it in the public eye.
The new sporting regulations were published. The Q2 tyre rule is gone, where the rule where if you qualified for Q3, you had to start the race on the fastest time you set in Q2, start the race on that tyre. Both teams, drivers, and Formula One in general have all been like, we really don't like that rule. It hasn't worked the way as intended. So they were always sort of looking to get rid of it. So that will be gone for this year, which is good. They've also changed how the safety car restarts will happen as well. So previously it used to be that the safety car would return to the pits after every single lapped car had gone past the leader, but now it comes in on the following lap after that message has been showed that lapped cars may now overtake. So the second that message pops up, then the safety car will go around once more and then come in. So it's just slightly faster, but it does mean that the lap cars kind of have to get a move on to overtake, and if they don't, then they're just going to be stuck not unlapping themselves. So but it does get the racing sort of underway a little bit quicker in the instance of let's say 10 cars have been lapped, which we have seen in the past. So sometimes more. I think we've seen someone who's P6, P5 have been lapped, and it's like we can't let 15 cars unlap themselves. They're going to be here forever before we restart the race. So I do kind of like that change. It doesn't directly fix the issue from Abu Dhabi, but it's something.
It's something. I kind of wish almost there's been, I'm not going to say there have been a lot of other ways that have been suggested that you could do this as well. This seems almost again like a mini patch. I'd almost hope that they're just doing it for this kind of year because of course they've had to make so many other changes. They're just going to tweak it a bit here, maybe focus more on it later, which I hope they will. But I'll take it over nothing. I'm in favor of this change.
People are still saying just drop the lap cars to the back.
That's
drop
the
them
big
to the back.
one.
Just drop them to the back. 2 Friday practice sessions per year from each team must be conducted by rookie drivers. I guess your Porsche, is he technically he'll probably get
Well, they got to elect someone to put in the car.
True, yeah.
They'd probably put him in.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, anyone like your Piastris, I mean, he was going to get some anyway, but like these drivers, it's mandatory that they get at least 2 Friday practice sessions for this year.
Not just leave it for teams to do it when they kind of want to, or they want a bit of a cash grab. I mean, there's been times in the past where lower teams have put them in there, either because I guess they're funding money through, and then they've gone, well, we've got to put them out there now and then. But then you'd rarely see that from Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, right? You mostly see from AlphaTauri, if anything. So
yeah, true.
This is a good change to just make sure that your rookies, if they're in your team, you're giving them a bit of a spotlight, not just running around in a car from 5 years ago on test tires at some test track, right?
Yeah.
And a way for us and general F1 fans, not for you and me, but general fans to see more of these rookies out there and get the names in their heads. So I love this.
The post-season test has now been changed. It will only be a 1-day test. Teams have to run 2 cars. One has to be one of their 2022 drivers for like tire testing, and the other one has to be a rookie with no more than 2 Grand Prix starts as well. So that stops your Alonso rookie drivers.
I was going to say, we're not going to see him back.
Damn it. And the pre-season testing is planned to... They haven't actually announced it. The plan is that it returns to a singular 3-day test as of next year. The reason they've got the 2 3-day tests this year is because of the new regulations. They want to give teams, obviously, the best opportunity to get on top of their cars, which, again, makes a lot of sense, but they want to go back to just the 3-day test as of next year. That was a lot of information, but that's all the commission meeting stuff, so, do with that what you will. I'm sure we'll hear more. I think that's the bulk of it, but I'm sure we'll still hear more in the leading up to the start of the season. So
there's plenty online if you want to have a look.
Did you know that Lewis Hamilton is back? He's my
back.
God.
And did you know that he said live on Twitter, I did not give it my all last year, but I will this year.
Oh my God, that's ominous.
I love how I know what he meant by that message, but I love how everyone's taking it out of contetage going, did you see? He said he didn't actually try his hardest. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's not what he means. It's supposed to be like I've declouded my judgment and I'm ready for the new year kind of message, an inspirational message.
Oh my goodness. But
yes, he's back. That was good to see. As I said, we didn't doubt he was going to be back, but I did like the way he came back with a lot of inspirational messaging on all his platforms saying, I have taken some time away. And as we said, through what Louis has been releasing, it's not like he's been locked up at home not talking to anyone, and he's been going to, events, he's been taking pictures with fans. He apparently did a lot for Bottas' send-off. He was there and he said some nice things there. So he has been active, but he's obviously still been just taking a step away from all the F1 drama per se. So he's back. Good to see. He's been in all the promo material now. Great to see. Mm-hmm. He looks good. Looks good next to Russell.
Yeah.
Excited.
I feel like with Hamilton, you can always tell when he's being genuine and when it's kind of being phoned in. So, but it seems...
He's reading off a script.
Yeah, that's it. But it seemed pretty genuine. Make the text bigger. Yeah. He seemed genuinely excited about this year. So, I think he needed that time off given what happened last year. I think anyone would. Any reasonable person. The one quote that I wanted to say, and I want everyone to listen up. That's right, you who's half listening to this, because you're the one who's probably fucking been on Twitter and been like, Hamilton's leaving forever. Also, Jacques Villeneuve, shut up if you're watching this. He quoted when he was in the lead up to the car launch. He said, and I quote, "Well, I never ever said I was going to stop." Which is true. He never said he was going to stop. Everyone was putting words in his mouth, even though he was nowhere and didn't say anything. Everyone was like, he's leaving, he's going to do these, becoming a movie star. I saw him on set. Yeah. People seem to think it was a certainty online. It's like, mate.
Or like a 50-50.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not... No. You want me to put money on this? No. Free money, thanks.
Yeah, I'll bet on that. We're going to talk about Red Bull for a bit because I wanted to make a correction from...
We're going to talk about Red Bull Honda Porsche Fuckfest.
I did call it that, yes. I didn't know what to say.
I just wanted to say it out loud. I love it.
First part, I want to make a correction. The last video we said that... Well, not we said. Helmut Marko said that Honda were going to supply engines through to 2025 directly from them. Little did we know that it hasn't actually been confirmed. It's just discussions. Who knew Helmut Marko was going to say something that was wrong? Man, that was silly. So they're just in discussions at the moment. No deal or agreement is actually in place. So it could still happen. They are still definitely supplying engines for this year, but for 2023 onwards, the plan still is to develop their own engines as of Red Bull Powertrains. So once we hear more actual information that's been confirmed by Honda and not by Helmut Marko, we'll come back to it. So speaking of that, though, and the reason why it's called the Red Bull Honda Porsche Fuckfest is because the Porsche Red Bull deal, supposedly, according to motorsport.com, the sources that are speaking to them, the deal is so close to complete that it only requires approval from like the supervisory body in the VW group and could be as early as like next month.
It's interesting with all the new hypercar stuff starting. Of course, I believe I'm almost certain that Porsche is one of those teams jumping back into it. So the only argument I can see is them saying, well, why would they jump into both F1 and back into hypercar when you think they want to focus on one or the other? But then I guess Volkswagen Group, VW Group is such a big entity that maybe they've got enough personnel they can say, no, let's do both if it's beneficial to us, right? Not just jump into one stream, but actually both streams back on the big stage on both sides.
Yeah.
So that's the only other thing I would bring up as a point on that regard.
Let's talk about Alpine again. We talked about Alpine a lot last time, and we're going to talk about them again because even more shit has happened with them. As far as I can see, it's a lot of good shit at this time rather than bad shit. BWT did become the Alpine F1 title sponsor, and the livery will include pink. So,
which was rumored for a while, and we all kind of went, "Oh, that'd be cute," and then it actually they announced
happened.
It. It's like,
yeah, it seemed to be. Yeah, it seemed to be like once they left Aston Martin, it's just like, oh, okay, we'll hear the announcement soon, and then just nothing. Similar to the fact that Otmar was named the Alpine team principal, and that was another one. It's like he left Aston Martin, and they're like, oh, we'll hear it from Alpine soon that he's going to be team principal, and then nothing. But finally,
this was the one I didn't even catch until a few days after it happened, and I heard someone say it, and I went, what? Yep. Are you still talking about the rumor? And I'm like, no, it actually happened. And it happened a few days ago, and I just completely missed it.
Yep. He was with Force India for a long time, and then when they went to Racing Point and then Aston. So, he's got a lot of experience, particularly. One of the things Laurent Rossi is the Alpine CEO. One of the things he likes is the fact that he's been able to do so much with so little in terms of the team that he had. Force India is well known for being a team that's sort of overachieved given their financial status and whatnot. Alpine have also introduced quite a few other people. The former Peugeot Motorsport boss Bruno Famin, and he joins as head of the engine division. He's previously been a technical director for Peugeot Sport on their Le Mans winning LMP1 car, and like Dakar and Pikes Peaks wins. He's been pretty instrumental in those ones as well. So he has experience being, at the top of like good, like top level championships and winning as well. David Brivio, who was, I think, sharing the team principal role last year, one of the 3 people that were doing that. He's now been moved to the director of racing expansion projects, which is basically he's helping develop young drivers across Alpine across all their racing categories. Pat Fry, who's been in Formula One since like 1631, the
dawn of age.
He's moving to chief technical officer. He's, like I said, he's been in Formula One since '87. He's worked with freaking Benetton, McLaren, Ferrari, Manor, then back to McLaren, and now Renault Alpine. Matt Harmon is going to be promoted to technical director, and he is overseeing the chassis technical direction. Apparently he has like very specific experience in chassis engine integration in his past, so it's like very, very specific like technical knowledge in that aspect. So they put him in that role to oversee, which I guess makes sense going into this new with the chassis being completely different and a lot of people having to try and fit the same engine into a smaller chassis. We've seen in some of the designs that you've seen, like I don't know if you've seen it, but like engine like bulges where the engine sort of pops out. So
Coke bottle and all that.
Yeah.
Some places not even having a Coke bottle.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty important for him, especially again going into the new engine regulations. If they can hold on to him for 2026, that's going to be pretty imperative. trying to integrate that all together. So,
and if you assume that Alpine is still only going to be serving themselves with their own engine, then maybe he can help, use that flexibility and say, okay, we only have to service ourselves. What's the maximum we can utilize here, right? And if we want to go extreme here, then got to make sure we're managing on that side too.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely.
I will say quickly on the Alpine thing as well.
Sure.
And this is, I did try to look up some credibility on this because it interested me, but I saw a few articles, let's say not necessarily lesser reputable sources, but just sources that were either somewhat new or just small fry.
Gotcha.
Basically saying they'd heard word that Alpine was struggling a lot with the integration of the 10% renewable fuel essentially into it, and that allegedly they were either having performance issues with it or reliability issues with it when they were trying to turn it up a bit. I tried to look it up a bit, and I saw some here and there, but nothing solid. It was more chatter than you normally get for a random run-of-the-mill rumor, right?
Gotcha.
I guess, as you say, if you kind of consider everything, I kind of went, okay, I wouldn't be surprised on that. And even some chatter, they might, not even be fully up to date with testing where they want to be with the car as well. So, I mean, we'll know in a few days from where we are now.
Yep.
But I thought it was worth mentioning that. I saw a bit of muttering.
I wanted to mention this one as well. This is I think pretty important. It's related slightly to something we talked about a bit earlier, but the taking a knee that they had at the last 2 years. I think they had the sort of ceremony.
I believe so, yes.
Where they had the organized pre-race We Race is One moment. They are scrapping that for 2022. This F1 CEO Domenicali said that it's now a matter of moving from gesture to action, and now action is the focus on the diversity of our community, and this is the first step. It's been criticized by quite a few people, and even some drivers as well, in the fact that the drivers seem like they hadn't been consulted about it, because both Vettel and Norris, when they were told about it, were like, we didn't really know, we haven't really had this discussion, but they were very diplomatic about it. But it's obvious that they weren't consulted about it, and they kind of a lot of people are saying, well, why can't we have the gesture and have action? Like, why can't we just have both? Why are you completely taking away the choice to make the action in the first place, to take the knee, which I think is valid.
Very valid.
So I imagine that some of the drivers will probably be in discussion with some of the F1 heads to see, okay, what was their reasoning behind this, and try and get a bit more clarity, because it seems like I said, they hadn't really been consulted about it. So,
and it was interesting when I saw this pop up, because if you remember early on when they first started doing the gesture, was a few races in, and there was one weekend in particular, I don't remember where it was, but they kind of stuffed up the timing on it a bit, and they kind of haphazardly did it, and it was a bit rushed and awkward and everything. And I think some drivers and the FIA in general kind of went, well, it's going to be like that sometimes. But then Hamilton and a few others stood up and they said, no, that wasn't right. We need to sit down and actually figure out what's going on. And there's, I think, a good interview from Grosjean as well, who was the leader of, I forget what they call it, is it the Drivers Association? He was essentially the main guy that talks to all the drivers, and then he goes up to the FIA to speak about certain matters. And he at first wasn't that behind it, but he had a deep chat with Hamilton, who was open with him about the meaning and everything behind it, and actually changed his mind on it. And then he fought for it to say, no, this is important, right? So when you go through that process early on, then when I saw they took it off, I thought, well, you'd think then again, if they're trying to do something similar to that, the driver's just going to come back and go, we've been through this. This is why it's important. We asked for this. It wasn't the public or that. It was us as a group thought this is really important. So as you're saying your points there, if some of the drivers again are coming back and saying we weren't exactly confronted on this, I wouldn't be surprised if either some of them lobby off to do their own thing, bring the shirts back. I'm not sure, but I'd be surprised if it went away, because
I imagine Vettel will keep wearing his shirts. He's always in recent times he's been very open about like he'll wear the shirts despite the fact he's been told not to, and he's like, they can just disqualify me if
the
they
pride
want.
Shirts in
I think you mentioned the Drivers Association. I believe George Russell is now head of Drivers Association, and the fact that he's in the same team as Hamilton, I imagine if they have any sort of discussion about that, and if Hamilton sort of wants, I can see George sort of wanting that back on as well. He seems like he's one of those people who's very much for those gestures.
Very open-minded for it.
And obviously being in the same team as Hamilton, you imagine those discussions are probably going to take place a bit more often than say
Yep.
people outside, like from different teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if at the very least there's going to be discussions had. I would say drivers like Hamilton and others will probably still make gestures of some kind, even if the moment, the pre-race moment, doesn't come back. I would,
or
still
the video or whatever,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
As far as I could tell, they do still have a video message before the race,
Okay.
so they will still be rolling that. They just won't have that.
The physical
actual
gesture
physical
itself.
gesture,
I wonder
so-
what people think is more impactful. I feel like almost the gesture and it being a moment of silence and all cameras and kind of everyone on it. Well, if you have a reel rolling, like you hear the reel once or twice, I'll admit, and then sometimes I would use it like as a bathroom break or a coffee break, right? Like
yeah.
I'll stop, I go, okay, I've got a little bit, and then I would try at least be there for the gesture because I don't know, just Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like being there for it was almost like a bit of respect for myself. Like
Sure.
the drivers and the teams are making an effort to be silent for it, so I kind of thought the same thing. So I feel like to me maybe that was the more impactful thing rather than the message, and especially as that, as I said, felt like it got a bit repeated and even like memed on a bit because of some of the drivers and the clips that were in that. But I'm curious what the general take was. So that was just me. I don't know what you thought.
No,
or anyone
I
else
tend to
thought.
agree. Actually,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, when something's played, it's going to be 23 times, and you'll see it. The first couple of times it'll be. I mean, obviously it's going to be a new video because you've got the 20 drivers are different.
Yep.
Or at least in different teams, and you've got a new driver this year. But so they'll make a new video, but you'll watch it twice, and then you'll be like, okay, well I've already seen this, so I've got. Yeah,
Yes.
I've got like,
and it's a nice video and the messages
Yeah,
it pushes,
it's
but
great,
then it's you've seen it.
yeah, exactly. I liken it to you watch a TV show and you watch the intro and you watch it a few times because it's really interesting, and then you're like, okay, I'm up to the 5th episode now. I'm just gonna skip the intro because I want to get to the episode. Like, it just feels a bit like that. So. I think the actual gesture itself is
something unique to each event as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
that's it,
they might even do that. Maybe they do have something unique in the video itself, and maybe
Maybe.
that's the compromise there. I don't know, but I'd be surprised if they just had a sample video they play each weekend and that's it.
Yeah.
I reckon there'd be a bit of an uproar again, going,
Yeah.
guys, what we're going backwards again? What's this?
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless of
Yeah.
what up top the lawyers and whoever wants to say.
Yeah, and regardless of what actions are being... Obviously, there are actions, as we've talked about with the scholarship.
Yes.
There are actions being taken, but the fact that they're getting rid of it after just the 2 years, and it's like, I think they're saying, change doesn't happen in 2 years, and they're very true. They're still racing in places
The point
like Saudi
is
Arabia.
this is something...
like...
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
The point is this was something you would physically see right before the race started. They can have things they're doing, but then they're going to show that? They're going to pan over to like the 10 of them every race and go, hey guys, how you going? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 10 guys at the engineering kids. The whole point is it was there and, you saw it. It's all well and good to go, we're doing it. You go, oh, I don't know if you're doing it or not. I can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's move on to some potentially more happy news to finish. Very recently, I think this was yesterday as well. In that,
and there's still a lot of chatter about this too, so it might even change by the time this comes out.
Yeah, I bet Mario Andretti has come out on Twitter and announced that his son Michael Andretti wants to enter a Formula One team, and he submitted all the paperwork necessary to do that. So, could we see Andretti in F1 as the 11th team?
An 11th team?
Ooh.
Not even a takeover, but a full new outfit.
Well, if you remember, they did try to take over or buy out Alfa Romeo sort of late last year before that fell through.
Of course, yeah.
So they've just kind of, they're like, okay, we'll just make our own team.
Put a bit more time, thought into it, structure, and come up with a new approach.
Yeah, I'll quote the tweet that Mario Andretti mentions because there's a couple of things in here.
It's a good tweet.
He says Michael has applied to the FIA to field a new F1 team starting in 2024. His entry, Andretti Global, has the resources and checks every box. He is awaiting the FIA's determination. So, a couple of things in there. Starting 2024, and it believes he has all the resources and checks every box required, which includes... I imagine the $200 million entry fee, unless he believes he can get that waived. But from what I can understand, getting that entry fee waived is like the bar for that is incredibly high.
There needs to be some extreme reason to get it waived.
Yeah,
right?
so
it's more so they're saying, look, if everyone agrees, but that generally means that they're losing out of pocket, and unless there's some reason why they want to lose out of pocket, they're not going to lose out of pocket.
That's it. The interesting thing is that the discussions between the fact that they couldn't close the deal with Alfa Romeo, it was like, how how can they pay that $200 million entry fee if they couldn't even close a deal with Alfa Romeo to buy out that team? That kind of calls into question. This is all on The Race, by the way. The Race did a really, really good article. This is where they sort of talk about this, but it's how can they justify, the monetary entry into that if they couldn't even take over an existing team? So the FIA has come out and said that there is currently no formal entry process open at the moment, and they're not currently in a position to consider or comment on any expressions of interest or applications received from potential new entrant teams. They seem pretty happy with the 10 teams, the stability.
It's interesting, isn't it? They seem very happy with the 10 teams.
Yeah.
Which
I guess
is a statement in itself, almost. I mean, they've certainly, of course, changed. The reason they put in that 200 million and there's certain other stipulations associated with it is so they don't get any rich men or shoe salesmen walking in going, "I want to start a team. Here's some money." They go, "Great," and they're here for 2 years. They faff around and then they leave. They're saying, "No, we want to have 10 teams that are properly showing engineering brilliance and fighting tooth and nail with each other." And
that's it.
I guess on the point of why the buyout fell through, what I touched on, I think, just before was I can only imagine if maybe it was a short time frame kind of thing, and maybe they, also saying they might have been, only privy to that conversation maybe last minute. And let's say that they were planning this entry, like over a year ago, right? And they've now just put their proposal together, they've been working on for a while. And maybe when that Alpha thing came up last year, they kind of said, maybe we can do this, right? And they quickly jumped on that. And then Alpha might have seen or gone, well, this seems a bit shaky here. Maybe they said, okay, that's fine, right? We're still going to go with our actual plan, which is to prepare for this. That's one way I can see how it actually might make more sense. But the general comments that they've put forward, there's not a huge amount, but what you do see is they do seem quite confident, saying, we're confidently going forward, putting it through. I mean, the name Andretti is a big name for a reason, right? Not just in America, but globally, and for some big names in that family to come out and push this. But still, that point that FIA seem to actually go, we'll see what goes. They seem pretty comfy with the 10 teams. It's interesting, not a shocking. You don't go, what the hell's wrong with them? We want more teams, but you go, well,
I think
it's a lot about how they want to head.
Yeah, from what I can see, they seem to like. Again, it makes sense with all the cost cap and everything coming in. All 10 teams are actually finally getting to a point where they're all financially stable. They kind of don't want to risk sort of changing the balance of the 10 teams that they've worked so hard to create. Right. Yeah, exactly. So I can kind of see it, but it is pretty telling given the fact that, they're not shy. The Formula One and the FIA are not shy about, they really want to expand in America. And this would be, Haas is an American team, but it's sort of becoming less of an American team as time goes on.
And they don't look American.
No, they really don't. But this would be like a genuine American team run by probably the biggest name in American motorsport. And they're still saying like, we're not too sure. So that, very, very telling. But it's very early days. Like I said, this has only been sort of the last 1 or 2 days that this has sort of come to the forefront. I imagine we'll hear more news as it comes up, and we'll report on that as well. So
stay tuned.
That's it. That was a lot. We're getting very, very, very close to the start of the season. Like I said, we're going to be having our car launch chat once Alfa Romeo get off their ass and launch their actual car. But so thank you all for listening. If you have any comments on any of the stuff we discussed, feel free to leave them down. Like I said, it does help us out quite a lot. If you're still here and you enjoyed, tap the subscribe button. Stay tuned for more videos coming out. We're getting very close to the end of the preseason, getting to the some of the good
actual
stuff.
Meat.
Yeah, finally. Thanks again for listening and watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.
Ciao!